It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
to
no
watch somebody on stage
I can't.
search for
That's so amazing.
questions
It's so amazing to me that
and try and figure out an answer.
a cognitive
Well, when
decline.
you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were
stuttering, I
mocking
had
his
no
stutter.
idea, Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have
course I wasn't,
absolutely no
Jake.
standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think
I'm not
that somebody
diagnosing.
in
I'm
the Trump
saying that
family would be more
Joe Biden
sensitive
of
to people who
today
do not have
is
medical
not the Joe
licenses,
Biden of 5
diagnosing
years ago,
politicians
of 10
from
years ago.
afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father,
Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
to
no.
watch somebody on stage
I can't.
search
That's
for
so amazing.
questions.
It's so amazing to me
So
that
amazing. You know what's amazing is that with the level of AI these days, I actually don't know if this is a real video or a fake AI generated video, because there is a classic AI generated fake video, which is actually playing on the trope of AI generating fake news. And it's Jake Tapper in AI talking about how fake the fake news is. If Encryptus could pull that one up, that would be a great video. This is real though. I remember this because I remember this. And End Wokeness, who's got a great Twitter handle, who pulls out the hypocrisy in real time, pulled up this video of Jake Tapper back in the day when everybody knew that Joe Biden was in cognitive decline. And Lindy Lee, and as much as everybody hates her or might hate her, a lot of people are forgiving her, still brings up some good points that everybody knew. Everybody knew Joe Biden was in decline, but he had his Mockingbird media defending his senile, demented Heine. It seems that now there's a book called Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. Jake Tapper and Alec Thompson. That would be the same Jake Tapper, who, I don't know when this video is from, was covering up for it. It's an amazing thing. It's like, I wouldn't chalk it up to a fear of God, but I think having a fear of God would help. Just having a conscience, having the slightest amount of human dignity, to not be such a rapacious, hypocrite liar. Then they have none. They have none. Like, I'm trying to think of some of the people out there who will literally say A one day and not A later. Anthony Fauci would be a good example. To shamelessly gaslight, no, I never said that, when it's on camera, you saying it. No, we never said the vaccine was going to be 100% prevent infection. No, there's only a tweet from Albert Bourla, April 1st, 2021, saying 100% effective against infection. And no, we never said that. We said it would reduce the symptoms. But we've got you here saying 100% safe and effective, yada, yada, yada. Hold on a second. We're actually going to get Adam Johnson in the back. My goodness, hold on. I was going to start the show off actually with Adam. Dude, I was going to start off with the other stuff, the Canadian stuff, but okay, slight change in plans. Adam, how goes the battle, sir?
The battle is ongoing, very slow. By the time May gets here, we're about 2 years into waiting for this guy to be prosecuted, if he's prosecuted at all.
Okay, so everybody, I'm going to give more of the detailed explanation when you're on a tight time frame. We're going to talk about the motion to dismiss the charges against, his first name is what? His last name is Scruggs.
Patrick
Scruggs. Patrick Scruggs, some of you might recall, is the prosecutor of some of the Jan 6. He's a federal prosecutor that prosecuted some of the Jan 6ers. He was caught on camera. Let me see if I can find the camera. He was caught on camera stabbing someone with a pocket knife in what was described at the time as road rage. Here's the. You may not like the video, people. It's a little bit. You can't really see much, but this is the guy.
He's defendant himself,
stabbing someone in a parking vehicle incident on the Florida highways, and he got out of his car, smashed the window, and stabbed a guy with a pocket pen. I said, this is the man that prosecuted Adam Johnson, Lectern guy. For those of you who don't know who you're looking at right now, I said at the time he was going to plead self-defense. I said it almost as a cynical joke. Oh, he's coming back in a second. And he's doing it. So let me see if Adam's going to get back in here. Okay, Adam, for his own very personal reasons, has been following the case. Dude, okay, so what's going on? We're going to go over the motion afterwards, but tell us what's going on.
So this guy is on video, allegedly. He's innocent until proven guilty. Smashing the window of a driver who was, as he claimed, having a medical emergency. In a statement of facts, Patrick Scruggs admitted he left the vehicle with the intention of breaking his window and subduing him with his own pocket knife. So he left his domain, his domicile, kind of his castle, to go to Patrick Scruggs' vehicle, break his window, and then I guess drag him out of the car or subdue him until the police came. And he's saying this is a self-defense, stand-your-ground case. It's absolutely insane to me. Okay, Congress is drunk half the time, right? We know this is true. So apparently I was justified walking inside the building because the things they vote on that day, were threatening to my life. So I had every right to be there. I can exit my domicile, enter someone else's, and I have every right to be there. This is defense, and it's absolutely insane to me. Now, the fact that there is a hearing for it and it's not just dismissed means the state then has a disagreement with Patrick Scruggs in his defense. So I'm hopeful that the judge has the same perception and opinion that the state has, but we'll see what happens. I think the video was very clear.
I'm going to show. I'll replay the video afterwards with some commentary, and just so everybody appreciates what happened. The guy in the vehicle, his name is Sharp. So ironically enough, Scruggs is stabbing Sharp. I tell you, the joke. It's not jokes. It's not funny, but the guy had a medical emergency. By all accounts, he was intoxicated or inebriated or on drugs or something. I mean, is that what the general consensus is?
Oh, those are the allegations, right? So no blood alcohol content was measured or tested, either at the site where he was stabbed or at the hospital, because this is a victim. This is not someone who was supposed to be, under arrest at this point. He was the victim. And what's interesting is if you look at the initial reports from the police statements, no one said that he looked intoxicated. They just said he looked out of it. So if it was something that was so obviously that he was drunk, I mean, don't you think the police would have instructed a blood alcohol content test to be done, or the hospital would have seen this? But none of these things happened. And then after the lawyers got involved, Scruggs' attorneys got involved. So what I'm interested to see is timeline of these events. Can you hear me again?
Oh, yeah, it was good. The audio was better for a second, but doesn't matter. Okay, sorry, what were you saying?
So the chain of events happened such that no one reported that they witnessed him being under the influence of drugs or alcohol, right? So for them to change their story now, a year and a half later, try to build a new narrative is sketch to me. I think they're trying to find a window in which it seems like he was a Daniel Penny case or a Kyle Rittenhouse case, where he's just the victim of some terrible person who's out here trying to cause other people harm. I think they're pulling on those heartstrings, and I think it is a huge injustice that this man walks on this. The video is very clear. He had no right to exit his vehicle and enter someone else's and stab them.
The question I had asked, I don't know if you know this, but he was still a prosecutor at the time, correct?
He was a federal prosecutor for a few years, and then I believe he had taken a private job out of a firm out of Georgia. Okay,
so that might explain. I made the cynical joke to you when we were DMing. It's like, it's a good thing he didn't have a gun, because then he would have really subdued the guy with bigger holes. The guy is, as per the reporting, in the vehicle, had a medical emergency and crashed into the vehicle in front of him. I'm going to read through the motion when you're not here, because there's no need to put you through that misery. In the motion, they're alleging that he might have been drunk, and Scruggs wanted to subdue him to make sure that he wouldn't flee and cause potential harm to other people. And so it was a stabby to subdue type of action that we saw in that video.
Well, he's not a law enforcement officer, right? He has no right to do this or authority to do this. He left his vehicle. He had no reason to leave his vehicle, right? He's in a very secure place. He left this engaged in violence. This is not someone who was on a subway where someone was attacking him. It's not someone who was at a bar and was being assaulted. He was in his vehicle. He had a right to call the police, report the crime, and report what's going on. He did not have a right to exit his vehicle and assault someone. Well, and this is not the way justice should be looking. I get he has a right to have his case heard. I understand this, but this guy is guilty. Look at the video. Watch the video.
Look, I don't know what to say. All that I'm saying is the irony in the case is that this guy engaged in overt violence. Whether or not you thought it was self-defense, and got released on easier bond than he insisted you be held on for your violent desecration of Nancy Pelosi's lectern. The other way to prevent him from leaving is to box.
They gave me an ankle monitor for a non-violent crime. Like, this is just absolutely insane. Now, it is a difference between federal and state. This is a state prosecution, so I'm sure the way they delve things out are, different. But good Lord, my attorney made the comment when I first got released after Patrick Scruggs gave me the nightly curfew, the ankle monitor. My attorney said, look, I'm not a magician. There's obviously a photo of my guy in the building. And our job is not to tell you, like he wasn't there because obviously he was there. I'm not a magician. But the facts surrounding the case are what matter. Now, the facts surrounding my case, there was one picture. So we could build a story. The facts surrounding his case, it's a video. It is a video. In the video that I posted on my X account, he didn't just stab this man through a broken window that he broke himself. He also then threatened to stab the other motorists who were trying to help the victim inside of the car. That is also on video. Him holding up the knife, and I'm going to attack you way. This is all in the statement of facts. So this man is not of sound mind.
I want to show some people I take for granted everybody knows who you are, Lectern guy. This is Adam Johnson, the most famous, the face of the Jan 6. Let me bring it up here. The famous happy man who stole Nancy. This is you. Back before at this moment, you had no idea you were going to change the world and the trajectory of your life was going to change. It's like the picture in Memento. Remember, like maybe it's a more sinister reason why he took that picture in the movie. But it's like it's just the most iconic photograph. So everybody who doesn't know, this is Adam Johnson. You went to jail for 75 days, and you spent some of that in solitary,
yes.
Correct?
17 days in solitary confinement.
Okay. So the irony is that Adam Johnson, Lectern guy's heinous crime of taking a picture with the lectern because there was never any theft of it. It's not something you can thieve. He got worse treatment than Scruggs, a man who went stabby on a motorist. I told you, man, I said it at the time. That's how cynical. Thank you, sir. That's how cynical I have gotten that he was going to raise self-defense and they're going to entertain it. So they've scheduled a date for the hearing on the motion.
Yes, May 2nd, 1:30 p.m., and they anticipate it being a 3-hour hearing that will take the entire back half of the day.
Where is it? What courthouse is it going to be at?
This is going to be Pinellas County Courthouse, Judicial Center. So I will definitely post. That's going to be in courtroom, 4th-floor, courtroom 6B.
Pinellas County. How do you spell that?
Pinnelas. Pinellas.
Pinnelas. Pinellas County. Pinellas, Western. That is, how far is that from me? Oh, that's on the other side.
About 3.5, 4 hours.
Well, dude, I might. Maybe we'll figure out a way. We'll go frolic on the beach, and then we'll go frolic in the courthouse. Okay, so amazing. We're and so you were there. You were there to see this morning, or did they have a no? It was a
yes.
pro forma hearing.
I've been in person for every single hearing he's had. I think this is the 6th or 7th pretrial conference, but I'm there every time. I smile at him because I'm not letting it go. I'm sure he would love to watch this just kind of get washed out. His attorneys in one of the first or second pre-trials actually were kvetching to the judge saying, listen, it's a very high-profile case because people online won't stop talking about it. I'm like, oh, well, how does it feel? How does it feel to have your name smeared across millions of views? This is how you want justice to be done. I guess we'll play the same game.
He sees you in the courtroom when you go?
Yes, I smile at him every single time. He knows who I am. I think the last time I posted about it hit 7.5 million views. And Elon Musk is even aware of this case. He commented on it about a year ago. But this is, again, this should be something that we get very focused on. We want the heads of the Hydra taken down, which I believe is a very good thing to do. But we also have to make sure that the people who are running the system, the mill workers, are also being prosecuted. And we can't let these people slip by. They have to be watched. And not any one person can watch everything, report on everything. But if every one of us...
And, he's back, okay.
Yeah. If every one of us focused on one grievance, one injustice, and reported on it, maybe we would see justice happen on a long enough timeline. So I'm not letting this go. I'll be there for every hearing.
And someone said the knife guy was the DA. Yes, the knife guy was Adam's prosecutor back in his case. All right, man, I'm going to read through you've got something. I'm going to read through the motion so that people really fully understand what's going on. I was going to do this story second because the stories of stabbing don't tend to algorithm well on YouTube, and I don't really care, but maybe it's fate. So you're following it. We might, first of all, people say they need to see us frolicking. We will first frolic, then we will kvetch. So we'll have a bagel together.
Love it.
Adam, keep in touch. Well, keep in touch.
Sounds great, man. Maybe whiskey again of it. Yeah.
All right. Have a good one. Now I'm gonna kick him from
All
the stream like this. See you, everybody. We're gonna. This was the second story of the day, but Adam had a window to pop on, and I forgot that he was actually going to pop on, and he popped on. We're gonna get into that motion because you've got to see it, and we're gonna watch the video in detail and watch the reporting on it. But before we do that, because we can't do the show without thanking the sponsors of today's show, and oh yeah, we got good ones today, people. We've got good stuff for the health and good stuff for the belly. I've got to tell you something. Everybody knows, by the way, that the way to my heart is through my stomach, and the real easy way. Hold on one second. I want to bring up the picture, the photograph of the first order we got. Speaking of funny photographs, where is it? Oh wait, no. Here we go. This is like the memento photograph where you're like trying to find that moment again. And every time the shipments come in of Chicago steak, yes, sir. I believe this was the filet mignon, but I could be wrong because I think I see a bone in it. I forget exactly which cut this was. It's flipping delicious. There has never been anybody on earth who regretted spending money on a children's book, Louis the Lobster, or meat. Even vegans. I'm convinced even vegans like spending money on meat. Right now, Chicago Steak Company has an unbeatable offer exclusively for my viewers, everybody. This is the Chicago Steak Company. You visit mychicagosteak.com/Viva and you receive 4 free bourbon sirloin steaks, a bottle of their signature steak seasoning, and free shipping on your first order above $199. Nobody has ever regretted spending money on meat, people. This means tender, juicy steaks, deliciously seasoned with the best flavor. Chicago Steak Company's premium cuts from their beautifully marbled ribeye to the perfectly aged New York strip are exactly what your holiday spread needs to impress every guest. Go over to chicagosteakcompany.com/Viva. Place your first order, $199 or more to unlock your first offer. You got the dog. Speaking, you get Chicago Steak premium hand cut aged perfection steaks, 4 free bourbon sirloin steaks with an order of $199 or more, free shipping on your first order, $199 or more. 100% satisfaction guarantee ensures quality you can trust with every order. Each steak is flash frozen, vacuum sealed, and delivered with care, ready to enjoy when you are. Go Chicago Steak Company/Viva, and you'll get your 4 free bourbon steaks if you order $199 or more, which is very, very easy to do because steak is delicious and everybody loves steak. And now that's for your belly. And we're going to talk about for your body, which is Qualia Senolytics. Now, this is an interesting thing also, people, and I ran it by my wife. If you haven't heard about Senolytics, by the way, you got the detox and you got your daily mind sharpening stuff. These, by the way, have caffeine in them, so you might want to spread them out over the day. If you haven't heard about Senolytics, it's an incredible ingredient discovered less than 10 years ago, being hailed as a major breakthrough for promoting healthy aging and enhancing our physical prime. Aging is something that we all go through if we're lucky, and it doesn't always feel good. That's why I use Qualia Senolytics. If someone told me that there's a science-backed ingredient that could make me feel younger, everyone would love it, and everyone can love it because it's available now. As we age, everyone accumulates senescent cells. They're also known as zombie cells. I checked this out with my PhD neuroscientist wife, and it's true. These cells cause symptoms like aging, aches, slow workout recovery, middle-aged energy slump. Qualia Senolytics acts like pruning the dead leaves off a plant, removing these worn-out cells so healthy ones can thrive. And get this, you take it for 2 days a month. By the way, so I did it a month ago, and then you take 6 pills every 2 days, 2 days to detox the dead cells, the zombie cells. Qualia Senolytics is a non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and with ingredients designed to work together seamlessly. They offer a 100-day money-back guarantee. I've noticed better energy boost and sharper, better recovery time and more energy. So now you go to Qualia Senolytics, and let me make sure what the promo code is. I don't want to give everybody in trouble here. 15% off. I got to make sure I don't. QualiaLife.com/Viva. You can get up to 50% off using code VIVA at your checkout, plus an additional 15% off. QualiaLife.com. And look into Senolytics if you're skeptical. It's actually, I did my research. I was on the phone with the company and I double checked with my wife. I'm satisfied. And it's good. And the links are in the description. Now back to stabbing people. I'm sorry. It's so, we live in a crazy world. And we're going to read through the motion. you've seen the video. We're going to read through the motion. And if you hadn't seen the video, you might be inclined to be convinced by the motion. I mean, even if you've seen the video, you hate lawyers, especially the ones who do good jobs for what are potentially bad people. Where is the... oh, crap. Hold on one second. I posted the motion itself over in our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community, so I'm going to go get it there. If you had been a member of our community, you'd already know what's in this motion. Here we go. The Scruggs motion. How do I open this up? Like this. Okay, here we go. Stand your ground. The argument is that he was stabbing the man into submission so that he couldn't flee, potentially commit another felony, and so that he could be subdued for arrest. In the circuit of the court for the 6th Judicial Circuit, Pinellas County, Florida, yada, 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 motion to dismiss, stand your ground. Defendant Patrick Scruggs, by and through his undersigned counsel, files a motion to dismiss pursuant to whatever, because the force he used was necessary to protect himself and others from great bodily harm. In support thereof, factual basis, we go through the fact pattern. I don't think we really need to go. There was an accident on the bridge. A bunch of people observed a Lexus driver, later identified as Blake Sharp, we're on paragraph 3, slumped over into the front passenger seat. In an effort to help Mr. Sharp, Gahaf parked his vehicle in front of Sharp's vehicle, got out and approached Sharp's door. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He began banging on the window and asked Mr. Sharp to open the door. Sharp was initially unresponsive to the banging, but then started to move. That's when Mr. Gahaf made the observation that Mr. Sharp appeared to be under the influence of drugs. It's nice that, this is the defense of the prosecutor. This is the defense of the prosecutor, but the prosecution's going to look at this. So this is the defendant's defense. The defendant happens to be a former prosecutor. This is what we would call third-party hearsay. He is expressing what he thinks Mr. Gahaf understood when he was looking at Mr. Sharp. I wonder how he knew that Gahaf thought the guy was under drugs or whatever, but that's the first reaction anyhow for most people. Gahaf went to his own vehicle to retrieve a tool in order to break Sharp's window. However, when Gahaf was attempting to retrieve the tool, Sharp became conscious and quickly accelerated, striking the rear of Gahaf's vehicle. He didn't stop. Mr. Sharp did not stop upon striking Gahaf's vehicle, but rather continued to accelerate his own car, pushing Mr. Gahaf's vehicle down the roadway while Gahaf's wife, Almont Taser, was still inside the vehicle. The collision and forced acceleration put her in fear. Again, talking about how other people are feeling, third-party hearsay. Sharp then, attempting to flee, reversed his vehicle and veered into the left lane in an effort to get around Mr. Gahaf's vehicle. In doing so, Mr. Sharp struck the defendant's passing vehicle, a Honda Civic. The impact of the defendant's vehicle caused the two vehicles to become pressed against each other. Well, that's not going to work real well if the argument is the risk of fleeing, because the vehicles are now pressed against each other and presumably relatively immobile. The momentum carried both vehicles back towards the right, striking the side of Mr. Gahaf's vehicle. The result was Mr. Sharp's vehicle became wedged between the defendant and Gahaf's vehicle. Okay, interesting. Very minimal flight risk by the allegations itself of the motion. Upon seeing the second collision, Gahaf dialed 911 to report there was an impaired driver. Okay, we'd probably hopefully they have a recording that shows that. Sharp's vehicle was still running, and he made no effort to turn off the vehicle, get out of his vehicle, or communicate in an ordinary fashion with the people whose cars he had just struck. Defendant exited his own vehicle with carrying a small pocket knife. Defendant initially intended to use the back of the pocket knife to break Sharp's window in order to remove Sharp from the vehicle and or turn off Sharp's vehicle. Upon making contact with Sharp, the defendant observed Sharp appeared heavily intoxicated. Sharp's speech was slightly slurred. Hold on a second. I think I can probably... Oh, tabarnouche. Yeah, I can probably bring it up like that. His speech was slurred. He was not capable of making any kind of intelligible statement. His gaze was abnormal, and his pupils were visibly dilated. This guy's like a master diagnoser. He appeared disoriented and wasn't making any effort to turn off his car, step out of the vehicle, despite having just caused 2 crashes. Defendant yelled at him. used forceful language for Mr. Sharp to get out of the vehicle, but Sharp did not comply. The defendant then attempted to open the door, Sharp's door, but it was locked. Defendant then used the back end of the pocket knife to break Sharp's driver's side window. Sharp was still refusing to turn off or exit the vehicle. He was not making coherent statements or giving any other indication that he was reacting to have just caused 2 traffic crashes. A struggle ensued between the defendant and Mr. Sharp, with the defendant attempting to unlock Mr. Sharp's door from inside. Mr. Sharp fought back, grappling with the defendant. During the struggle to open the door, Sharp attempted to accelerate his vehicle forward as if to push through the 2 vehicles blocking his path. After Sharp attempted to accelerate his vehicle and as he continued to grapple with the defendant stabbed Mr. Sharp multiple times through the driver's side window while continuing to attempt to unlock the door with his other hand. At the time the defendant used force against Mr. Sharp, the defendant was in place, a public bridge where the defendant had the right to be. Here's trying to use the stand your ground. He used force. He was in threat that Mr. Sharp would continue in his efforts to escape the scene, which would result in Sharp striking the defendant with his vehicle. Defendant was positioned between his own, yada, yada. Okay, fine. In addition to his concerns for his own safety, the defendant was fearful if Mr. Sharp escaped, he would then proceed down a bridge, recklessly fleeing and putting numerous other people in danger. Sharp had every appearance of a highly impaired fleeing driver. This is corroborated by Gahaf's independent and contemporaneous report to 911 that Mr. Sharp was an impaired driver who had already hit him. How much more does this go for? Oh, cripe. Okay, well, I guess let's do it while we're at it. At the hospital, he was yada yada. His statement, medical staff at the time, driver who was in back rammed him from behind and then stabbed him because he allowed another car to merge in the front. The claim is wholly inconsistent with entirely the evidence. Mr. Sharp later claimed during a 2024 deposition he had no memory of crashing into the back of Gahaf's vehicle. Sharp testified in this deposition that his lack of memory of the incident was due to the fact that he suffered a diabetic episode. Sharp denied having consumed any intoxicating substances. Despite the claims about lack of motive to flee 2 accidents, Sharp was aware at the time of the incident he had multiple warrants out for his arrest. Sharp had active warrants for his arrest for violating the terms of probation that he was serving following convictions for offensive out of both Pinella and Hernando counties. At the time of the incident, Sharp was on a 4-year period of probation originating out of Hernando County for the offense of battery on a person 65 years of age or older. In addition to probation, Sharp was serving concurrent term of probation for reckless driving, a charge which had been reduced down from DUI. In this instant, police found Mr. Sharp passed out behind the wheel of a running car. The basis for the existing probation's violations and the associated arrest warrants was that Sharp provided a dilute urine sample. Okay, fine. Any new violation that Mr. Sharp committed, to include any offenses of driving under the influence, leaving the scene, or aggravated battery, would have constituted an additional probation violation. He claimed in his deposition he suffered from diabetic episode, although he's never been diagnosed by medical professionals having diabetes. He claimed the medical professionals told him at the time of the event that his blood sugar was off the charts, extremely high, which caused him to faint on the bridge. Contrary to these claims, Sharp's medical records show that blood sugar was measured when he arrived at the hospital, and his blood sugar level was normal, not extremely high or off the charts. Sharp was not administered anything while en route to the hospital, which would have modified or normalized his blood sugar levels. Okay, and what else? That's pretty much it. That's the gist of it, people. And now I'm kind of curious because it's not an implausible. Once you're dealing with it's interesting where this is where you would have one of those situations where you would question the prejudicial, the unduly prejudicial information of prior arrests for impaired driving or whatever. That might lead me to believe that if this guy was arrested again for having caused an accident while being under the influence, if he was, which there's no evidence that he was yet, that there might be motive to flee, which might explain, what did I just do? Which might explain, some plausibility of the story. But I think OEG gets it over here. No, you can't stab a guy. So at the risk of really pissing off YouTube, but let's do it anyhow because it's going to be the end of the stream on YouTube. Let's go back to the video now. Now you've heard the defense. Not wholly implausible, but the idea is that you're going to stab a man into submission with a pocket knife so he doesn't flee the scene. I don't think is legally tenable. I'm not an American attorney. I've never done criminal law. But let's go back and watch this now. Do we get 2 things on this?
State troopers say one of the most infamous Capitol riot defendants, but tonight he's a defendant himself. State troopers say former federal prosecutor Patrick Scruggs stabbed someone on the Howard Franklin Bridge. And this happened after a series of crashes on the bridge Tuesday morning.
What a scene here. Scruggs worked as a prosecutor in Florida's Middle District for more than 10 years. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank reports tonight on the chaos that led to that violent incident.
It all started with a driver passed out in the middle of the highway on the Howard Franklin Bridge and ended with a former federal prosecutor.
You see him point at him as if to say, you stay there. I mean, maybe that's what he did. The thing is this, I think even if we accept the fact pattern of this motion, in no way does it legally justify what we just witnessed.
Stabbing the man.
Pictures taken by Tara Iglinski show Patrick Scruggs standing outside of a car in a 3-car pileup. Someone else's bloody hands are sticking out of a window.
He had a lot of blood on his arms and cuts on his arms. And I was trying to figure out what had caused that.
Troopers say Scruggs had bashed through that window and stabbed the man multiple times. Just before that, the man had been passed out while behind the wheel. His car stopped on the Howard Franklin Bridge. 2 Good Samaritans had also stopped and evidently startled him awake. He drove forward, hit the Good Samaritan's car, and then drove into Scruggs' path. Troopers say that's when Scruggs stopped and took out his pocket knife.
It's just so sad that someone would react in that way. There's so much road rage nowadays.
Witnesses might...
I want to look up whether or not Scruggs had any prior criminal record. I presume he couldn't have if he was a prosecutor. And if it's wild. We're gonna do not a poll. I'm just gonna look at the chat in a second and see what everyone thinks.
Not have expected it from Scruggs had they known he was a federal prosecutor for 10 years. He just left that job for a private practice. But while he served the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tampa, he helped on high-profile cases, including that of Adam Johnson, who stole the lectern from Nancy Pelosi's office during the Capitol insurrection.
His actions speaks to his actions and his actions only. We don't ever want to see someone get out and commit some kind of violence like this, whether it be at a home, a restaurant, or on the highway.
Troopers also say Scruggs used the knife to scare the Good Samaritans off when they tried to help the stabbing victim. Traffic was stopped for 3 hours, after which the former federal prosecutor was charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon.
It doesn't matter who he is. What he did was really, really scary. And the way he reacted there was really frightening.
Scruggs bonded out of jail after about 10 hours in custody. We do not yet know why that driver was stopped in the middle of the highway and passed out. Evan Axelbank, Fox 13 News.
Well, they really milked replaying that video throughout that report. So that's the incident. Bonded out after 10 hours. Adam Johnson was in for 75 days. No, I don't think he got, I don't remember when he got bonded out, if he did. But he served 75 days and 17 days in solitary. Had an ankle, oh no, he did. He had an ankle bracelet when he was bonded out. It seems like there might be some confusion in your question, Viva. Patrick Douglas Scruggs, the former federal prosecutor involved in the Howard Franklin Bridge stabbing incident, if that's the guy, please clarify. Based on available information, he did not have a significant criminal record prior to the stabbing incidents. Reports consistently describe him as having no prior criminal history, with his attorney emphasizing that the event was an isolated incident. The only mentions of legal issues before the stabbing are 2 minor traffic tickets in Pinellas County, Florida, one for speeding, the other for overtaking on the right. Both indicate road rage. These are not considered serious criminal offenses, just civil infractions. I'm not convinced, period. If that's what he thought he was doing, well, congratulations. That's like saying I thought the final tap after I had already subdued someone was still self-defense. You go to jail for that. No right to stab anybody, says maple syrup in all caps. And I tend to agree with that. Stabbing into submission, fear for your life. Like the argument here is going to be the whole, which case? Oh, it was Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, it's very similar to Ahmaud Arbery. Well, they say, okay, well, that's a stool under. That's not any other what you think it might be. In Ahmaud Arbery, recall that the argument is what type of force are they allowed to use to subdue someone who they think might have committed a crime, and then it depends on whether or not he was suspected of having committed a felony. And then the issue is, what type of force are you allowed to use to prevent someone from fleeing and putting other people at risk? So that's the argument here is he's trying to say that I had to stab him repeatedly in a manner that looked very aggressive. Obviously, there's no peaceful way of stabbing somebody. to prevent that risk from happening. I'm not buying it in a million years. And we'll see what happens with that as we go forward. So that's cool that we got Adam and we got to see the motion. Let me bring up some other chats in here. We got Encryptus. We need a video of Viva and Adam frolicking on the beach, hair flying in the wind, holding hands while skipping down the beach. It can be done. It can be done. Then we got Encryptus back over here. He says, a guy named Sharp stabbed one. No, it was a guy named Scruggs who stabbed someone named Sharp in self-defense, road rage. A guy named Sharp stabbed someone. Foreshadowing born. No, it was Scruggs, which also sounds like Skirmish or something, who stabbed Sharp. Greenberry Hill, if anybody's ever seen the movie Magnolia. We're going to go over to Rumble in a second here. Crash says, CHL in Washington State trains you on how to determine what lethal force... what is that, CHL? What lethal force is and who is the aggressor in a tit-for-tat situation. By the state training, Stabby Stabber was the aggressor. I don't think there's any question about it. The only question is going to be whether or not the system is sufficiently corrupt that that the system is going to buy that defense, but I don't think so. That looks like totally justified self-defense stabbing, entirely sarcastic, of course. And then we got forced name change. Just because Scruggs was never charged with a crime that he was caught for doesn't mean there are no skeletons in his closet. Well, I'll tell you one thing, at least from my own personal surmising, one has to have some serious issues going on in one's life to stab someone. I mean, cripe. I have problem, clipping the gills on fish to bleed them out peacefully. So I'm inclined that there are probably some serious anger issues going on with that man, and other personal issues that might explain that psychotic, violent incident. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and I cynically and sarcastically predicted he was going to raise self-defense. I am right again. All right, people, we're going to do the Canadian side of this over on Rumble. So get your butts on over, and we're gonna have some fun over on the Rumble side. But there was something that we could watch while we segue over there. Yeah, let's watch this. This is a true story, people. It happened to me at the beach this morning. Children are there. They say the darndest things. And this is going to be a prelude to what we're going to discuss over on Rumble.
It's amazing. I was just walking on the beach in Florida. I feel a little tug on my shirt. I turn around. It's a 4-year-old girl. And she says to me, "Are you Viva Fry?" And I said, "I am." And she says to me, "I'm a Canadian expat living in exile because of what the Canadian government did to my family." And I just watched the leadership race debate yesterday with Karina Gould, Mark Carney, Christopher Freeland, and that other guy. Is it true that if I drink Florida orange juice, they're going to freeze my bank account? Is it true that if I travel to Florida, they're going to put me in jail? How can I make sure that Christopher Freeland doesn't lock me up for drinking that sweet Florida orange juice? And I said, "Little girl, you drink that freshly squeezed orange juice. You take in that vitamin C. You don't want to get scurvy. You drink in that beta carotene. It's good for you, but don't drink too much because it'll turn your skin orange. And you bask in the freedom of choice, the freedom of decision. And don't you worry. That Christopher Freeland with a triple passport, that Mark Carney, WEF stooge, they won't come to get you here in the free state of Florida." True story.
Absolutely true. It happened just that way, much like the same Christopher Freeland said. A 4-year-old girl came up to her and said, "What can we do to prevent Trump from invading Canada?" Get your butts on over to Rumble. And by the way, it's a true story. There was a kid who drank so much Sunny D that he actually turned orange. And then I remember the reports at the time, and the reporter was laughing. It was in 1999. A 4-year-old girl from Wales developed yellowed skin after drinking too much Sunny Delight. The girl's condition was caused by beta carotene, an additive that gives Sunny Delight, Sunny D, its orange color. And I remember the reporter saying, "Doctors expect her to return to normal color shortly." Get your butts on over. You won't believe what's going on in Canada. That's the segue. And you got Karina Gould telling Canadians to not go to Florida and not drink orange juice. I poop you not. I kid you not. Get your butts on over. We're going to carry this party on over at Rumble, and then have our after party at Locals, and then I will be on with the Unusual Suspects tonight at 4 o'clock.